Hello, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Claire and I have a lot of fruit here and I'm on a mission to try and get as many of it in jars, shelf stable, to last us for the rest of the year basically, as I possibly can today. This will involve water bath canning, not pressure canning, so hopefully I can work through things pretty quickly. The first thing I've got here is a whole load of plums. These came from my neighbour's tree. They very kindly knocked on the door and said, "We've had a bumper year, we can't use them all, help yourself." So that's going to be plum jam, I think. I'm going to get these washed up in a moment. We'll see how much we've got and go from there. Then we have the mystery bucket. This is a whole load of fruit in my freezer, or it was in my freezer. I'm trying to empty my freezer, as you're probably sick of hearing about by now. So let's do something with all of this. These are strawberries from my garden, more strawberries. I've got rhubarb from my garden. I'm going to turn this into barbecue sauce. That might be a separate video. And then our neighbours across the road have a whole load of fruit trees, but they don't use it. They were there when they moved in, basically. So they said I could fill my boots, so I did. These are all red currants. We're going to make red currant jelly, which I've never made before. Wish me luck. More strawberries. And then I've got various bags of blackberries. I can always go and get more if I require them because the hedges are full. And, although I'm not sure I'm going to get to them today, it's been really windy where we are. I don't know how the weather has been with you. Do let me know in the comments. But the windfall apples are absolutely just, you can't move for apples, basically, anywhere around us. So this is what we have. Yep. Took my little girls walking Dolly's pram, and we filled the pram. And we did get some funny looks walking home with baby. So let's get the plums washed up. I can see one in there that's gone foosty overnight, which is disappointing. But we'll get everything cleaned up, throw away what we need to, get them chopped up and get them weighed. Actually, just before I get to starting on the plum jam, I'm going to start with the strawberries. I've already done a fair bit of strawberry jam. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm just going to can them, beg your pardon, water bath can them, in a simple syrup so that we can have them on like ice cream or in yogurts or porridge or whatever we want. These are obviously still frozen, quite substantially frozen. So I'm going to get them covered in sugar to macerate, basically start leaching all their juices out, and defrost, because if I put frozen strawberries into warm glass into a warm canner, the glass will explode, and I don't want that drama in my life. The sponsor is Morpheus. Morpheus would dearly love to be sitting on my lap right now, but unfortunately I'm on a kneeling chair thing and he can't because it's all slanty. Sorry, kiddo. He's an old boy now. But Morpheus would like you to subscribe and comment and do all that stuff, please and thank you. Alright, let's see how many we've got so far. Because what you want is a 1-to-1 ratio of fruit to sugar for making jam. You can make low sugar jams, but I'm not. Oh, my back. Slightly overshot. 1 kilo, 155 grams. So I need 1 kilo, 155 grams of sugar. I haven't used all the plums. Generally, what I find is that if I make a massive batch of jam, it goes wrong. So I'm just going to do a small batch. Let's get some sugar, and I'm going to get these on the hob with a splash of water to start breaking down. I was about to say we're cooking with gas, but actually it's an electric hob. Got my bucket of sugar out. I'm not using that sugar for this though, I'm using jam sugar. Claire, come on. So I only have one bag of jam sugar left, which is just sugar with a bit of pectin added. So I will add a little bit of normal granulated sugar. I do have other forms of pectin as well. And I'm going to add some lemon juice to it too. If I look like I'm moving a bit strangely and wincing a lot, I've got a very bad back. I've got a torn and prolapsed disc, L4, L5, lower back. It's great, and it's just playing up today. So if I look a bit, that's why, ignore me. Right, we've been going a few minutes. The fruit started to break down. So what I'm going to do is add, mic still on, yes it is, good. I'm going to add my jam sugar. Then 110 grams extra sugar. And I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of lemon juice. Give it all a good stir, make sure it doesn't catch, and wait for it to become jam. Oh, I need to put my plate in the freezer. Better go do that. I'm conscious that this little batch of jam is not going to fill my canner, and it doesn't make sense to me to not have a full canner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up a batch of simple syrup. So the rest of that bag of sugar is going in there, along with just shy of a litre of water. And what I'm going to use this for is to can some whole nectarine slices. I got 2 massive punnets the other day from Aldi in a Too Good To Go bag. And when we got them, they were hard as bullets. And we made jokes about the fact that they were going to take ages to ripen. Spoiler alert, we were wrong. Ugh. So in order to avoid these lovely nectarines, they're very nice, going to waste, all I'm going to do is slice them up, put them in hot clean jars, top them up with the simple syrup, and then bob them in with the jam. They can go for the same amount of time. I think the times are actually technically slightly different, so you just choose the longer time and water bath them that way. Right, okie dokie, here we have my syrup, and I've got 3 jars of nectarines. I may have eaten as many nectarines as I put in the jar, and I'm not ashamed of that. They're lovely. What have I got? I need a chopstick. I've got a chopstick. Chopstick for debubbling. I want to leave about 1 inch of headspace according to the instructions. And I've got a ladle and my funnel. Everything is clean. Nothing is sterile because this isn't a surgical theatre. So it would be a misnomer to say I've sterilised everything, but I have properly cleaned everything. These are, I think it's a mixture of ball jars and Kilner jars, perhaps. Ooh, shaky, shaky hand. That looks about right for that one. And then what I want to do is just shuggle things around a little bit. Not too much, I don't want to mash my nectarines. But just to get out any air pockets so we can check the liquid level is as it should be. There's a massive bubble there. There we go. Give it a bit of a shake, make sure everything's under the surface. That looks fine to me. Now I've got a bit of paper towel. Always check the rims that there are no chips or anything, or bits of fruit stuck to it or anything, because that will interfere with the seal. I've just got water on this. Sometimes I use vinegar, sometimes I use water. Was that a nick? No, it's not. We're fine. We're all right. You should be proud of me. I'm using new lids. These are 4 jars canning lids. I got them from Amazon. And you pop them on, clean rings, fingertip tight, not too tight. If you crank it down, it'll buckle and you won't seal and you'll ruin your lid. I don't think we're going to fill this canning yet, so I've got a spare clean, this is a Kilner jar. It still takes the 4 jars lids. It's like a regular mouth canning jar, I suppose. And what I'm going to do is take some of these apples and can them in simple syrup the same way I'm doing the nectarines. My intention for that is that it will be apple pie filling. Now I'm not going to use any thickener in this apple pie filling because basically because I don't have any that are canning safe, and you know how I feel about canning rules, but there are some that do make sense. Canning cornstarch, not something I personally want to do. Your kitchen, your rules, of course. So I'm just going to chop these up, can them in the simple syrup. I might chuck a bit of cinnamon in the jar as well, just a little bit. And then I can thicken it on the hob before I bung it in a pie shell. Look at me, practically living the good life here. Don't think many people in my life would have figured me for this much of a home bod. You might ask me, am I adding any acid to the nectarine, the apple slices? The answer is no. You can, absolutely, but I'm following the instructions on the book that came with my canner. These are sort of approved recipes as such, so I don't feel the need to deviate from that, to be honest. An extra 5 minutes. Attempt to... that steam is hot. As if I'm suddenly being reminded that hot things are hot. Whilst that's cooling, I'm just going to drop a tiny bit of butter in here to break up that foam. Just a slither. Something about the oils and fats breaking the surface tension. I don't know. Me granny did it, so I do it. That's looking better, isn't it? I'm just going to use a little tea strainer to get rid of some of the rest of the foam. My apologies if you can hear my washing machine. It's in the utility, which is right next to my kitchen. Right, see, it's just not quite there. Right, I'm gonna do 4 more minutes and then I'm calling it good. A few extra minutes and I think we've cracked it. Apologies for the awkward angle. I have limited space. So, that funnel won't fit. But because of who I am as a person, I have a spare jam funnel. Let's get these jars filled in and on. And my washing machine is just finished, so I need to go outside and do that. Right, some of these are reused lids, some of them are new. Just wiping off the rims again. Ooh. Make sure there's nothing broken, nothing chipped, nothing sticky. And unlike the 2-part lids, you want to crank these ones down. So you belong there. Apparently I last used it to do something in June 24. Crank them down as best you can, bearing in mind it's hot. This is definitely not a thing to do if you have small children running around. I'm child-free today. Jam, fruit of various kinds, all in. I'm going to get the lid on and we're going to go for 20 minutes because that's how long the apple slices take. Everything else actually needs less, but it won't be harmed by going for longer. And I do need to add more water so the jars are covered. I haven't forgotten, don't panic. Whilst my canner, I know this is a pressure canner, but I haven't put the valve on, so it's not coming up to pressure. It's just a rolling boil for 20 minutes. Whilst that's doing its thing, I've got my red currants. These were all washed and all the gubbins picked out of them before they went in the freezer. Just adding a wee bit of water, and what we're going to do is cook these down until all the juices are extracted, and then I'm going to strain them through a brew bag. You can use cheesecloth, you can use a muslin, you can use whatever you have. I happen to have a brew bag that is designed for fruit, for winemaking, so I'm going to use that to strain it all out, and then we'll get our red currant jelly on the go. Strawberries still coming too. Not sure how much you could even see at this point, but red currants, they've got a couple of minutes left on them. Just going to turn it down a touch. Let's get this lid off. Always open the lid away from your face unless you want to melt your face off. Oh, it's looking good. Nothing's exploded, which is the bare minimum. Woo, soggy, but look at that. Lovely. Here is round 1. Excuse the moth-eaten plants. I will water them, I promise. Okay, next batch, let's go deal with those red currants. Extremely high-tech setup for straining them. I've got my brew bag, it's tied onto a spoon. It wasn't quite high enough, so here are some bits of wood from my garage, propped on my children's kitchen stool. Where there's a will, there's a way. Right, sometime later, I have squeezed the bejesus out of that bag. Some people say you shouldn't, because then your jelly will be not perfectly clear. I do not care. The wonky pan has been washed and we are about to stew down these. I don't want them to break down completely. I'm not making jam, but I do just want to basically make sure everything's hot before it goes in the jar. This is going to be a strawberry sauce, so I don't want to add any more liquid really. This already has a lot of liquid where the sugar has dissolved and it's drawn the liquid out of strawberries. So I'm going to attempt to transfer these to this and then into hot jars. Right, everything has come to, everything's hot, jars are clean, funnel clean. Let's fill them up, shall we? Actually ended up with more jars than I thought. So this is actually going to be a canner load. You can generally fit 9 pint jars of the normal regular mouse canning jars in this particular canner. I've got 8 here, so I'm just going to call it good, get this on, and then I will do this red currant jelly and possibly another round of plum jam. I think the barbecue sauce is going to have to wait for another day though. I shall get the lid on, get these up to a boil. They are all under the water. And good news, all my ones from the first round have now sealed. Yay! Right, according to the recipe on the Good Food website, this needs nothing more than the red currant juice and the sugar. So no pectin, no lemon juice, no nothing. Okay, I'm going to trust the process. I measured it out and I had about 1.5 litres of juice. Slightly over that, so the ratio worked out to be basically a kilo of sugar. So I'll get to stirring and we'll see where we get. I am pretty confident that this red currant jelly is, I mean, it's already got a skin on it and I've only just turned the heat off. So I think this is going to have set. We'll let that literally chill out on the plate for a moment, and I'm going to get the lid of the brush canner, which is just finished with my strawberries. Right, so far no explodey jars. I'll get them out and we'll see where we're at, and let's have a look at you. Needs a little longer. Back on the heat you go. Oh my days, it tastes amazing though. You can't tell me that that's not beautiful. They're beautiful. They are. I'm pretty confident about the set because the surface has started setting. They're getting, you know, a skin on them pretty quickly. So I'm going to get the lids on, but you will notice that this is not enough jars to fill the canner. And I do still have some simple syrup left, so I think I'm going to pop some plums and some spices in a jar or two and fill the space, basically. Do some jarred plums. Right, I'm painfully aware my kitchen's a mess. I'm a mess, but we need to crack on. This is going to be the, what, 4th time my canner is running today, and I don't think I have it in me for around 5, which means these are going to have to go in the fridge and be tomorrow's problem. My barbecue rhubarb sauce is going to be a problem for tomorrow. And I don't know, we're just going to have to see how it goes. Right, this is ground ginger. Get on there. This is some cinnamon. I could muck about and be fancier with this, but as I said, I'm struggling to stand at this point. So we're just going to do what we can. It does smell good though. Clean funnel. This is my simple syrup, which I've heated up again in a very battered pan. Then I will debubble and get a 2-part lid on these. These are Kilner jars, I think. And hot jars. I know the plums are cold, but you know, the liquid's hot, so. And then they will go in the canner, and then I'll have to look up how long these need. I suspect it's going to be 20 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. The jelly only needs 10, but it won't be harmed by going longer again, so. Let's get these sorted. Just noticed that all of my jars have now sealed. I'm so excited. The strawberry syrup is interesting. I've never done this before, so it's a learning experience for me. There's a lot of liquid versus the solid strawberries. These are still very hot, by the way. Shouldn't have touched that. But you have to remember, I didn't add any liquid at all. This is all strawberry juice and sugar. So I think that's going to be lovely on ice cream. Like I said, I'd run it 4 times earlier. It's only been 3. But still, look, all of this was taking up space in my freezer or was stuff that was about to go bad. So now it is shelf stable. Jars have started popping from the last round. There's something really beautiful about all this to me. It really is. So there we have it. Oh, 3 times for the canner, and some of that I just made up on the fly, but it was really good fun. I think it's really worth it. To me, there's just something really beautiful about all those gorgeous jewel-like jars, and knowing that in the middle of winter I can crack one of them open and use it in a pudding of some kind, and there it will taste of summer from my garden, or my neighbour's garden, or my other neighbour's garden. Anyway, thank you for watching. You take care. Bye.